This time I'm going to show you one of the tricks to passing some of the FAA's commercial knowledge test questions that deal with HSIs, in particular, the ones that deal with figure 17. The first thing we need to do to be able to answer these questions is become familiar with the instrument itself, as most airplanes do not have this antiquated instrument mounted on them. I've personally flown hundreds and hundreds of different airplanes during my 18 years of flying, and I never encountered a specific HSI receiver. So let's see what all these thingamajiggies do. If you're familiar with a normal HSI, then you're familiar with about 70% of this instrument. You will know what the top part is called, the upper louver line, and that indicates the magnetic heading of the aircraft. You should also be familiar with the course arrow, which indicates the course set. But most HSIs do not have the upper right window, which is the course selection window and displays the exact course the pilot has selected. The to from flag, or indicator, is something you have known since looking at the first VOR receiver, as well as the CDI, or course deflection indicator, which displays the position of the selected radial in relation to the aircraft. And what about the OBS, or omni-bearing selector, which allows the pilot to select the desired course to or from the station? And most of you have probably seen or used a heading bug before, which moves with a compass card and is set by the pilot through the button left knob opposite the OBS knob. But one thing that you have probably not seen on HSI before is this little triangle up here, which is what is going to help us answer about 50% of the questions on figure 17 of the commercial test. This needle is like an ADF needle inside the HSI. It doesn't point to a separate NDB, but rather to the VOR itself. So the head of the needle is the exact bearing to the VOR, while the tail is the radial from the VOR. Knowing this can be very useful for some of the questions on the test, as it will considerably cut down on time finding the correct answer. For this, let me give you an example. This question here asks which of the following HSI indications shows the aircraft crossing the 040 radial from the VOR, and asks you to pick between HSI number 1, number 3, or number 5. Without knowing the function of the outside needle, it would take considerable time to see that HSI 1 is the correct answer, as we would notice that we have selected the 360 radial from the OBS, and that the CDI is deflected towards the west, meaning we're east of it, and that could probably be the correct answer. Sounds complicated, doesn't it? How about we just look at the tail of the outside needle, which points to 040. That's on VOR number 1. The tail being on 040 means we're on the 040 radial. Yeah, that sounds a lot easier, and many of the questions on the test are just like that one. They might be asking you for the bearing to or the radial from. Bearing to, look at the head. Radial from, look at the tail. By the way, if you forget any or all of the functions of this particular HSI, do not despair, as the top of figure 17 provides an actual legend of the HSI itself, and that should make your life much easier during the test. Now, there are many more question types that refer to figure 17. If you want to see all the tricks for it, or the entire navigation section of the test, as well as the rest of the knowledge areas, consider purchasing our full commercial pilot ground school and enjoy over 12 hours of interactive presentations where you become part of the course, having fun while learning how to ace the commercial test and becoming a better and especially safer pilot. Visit passFAExams.com and download one of our free demos to see how we can help you with your aviation goals. Till next time, happy flying and blue skies from Pilot Training Solutions.